Oh, my grandfather told my dad. My grandpa was one of the smartest people I'd ever met in my life. Like just smart. And he said, if you want to be a millionaire, you need to work a million hours.
Mm.
And he told him that since he was a kid.
Oh.
Think about how awful that advice is.
Man, that's tough, man. It's tough because it's actually good advice if you're coming from nothing. Because if you've made it to be, well, that's tough. And I can't even say
I mean,
that.
but it's not like it's good advice. Like, yeah, if you're thinking about hard work.
Yeah.
But to tell someone you need to make a million hours to make it to be a millionaire, like that's.
You know how they say, like, if you do something that you love, you never really work a day of your life.
The majority of people don't do something that they love.
I was just trying to make it sound better. Because if they love what they're doing, and maybe they really are working a million hours, you know what I mean? But since they love it, it don't feel like work.
Yeah, bro. It's fucking bananas. I was just like thinking about that and how my dad had been told that since he was a kid. Like, you got to work a million hours to be a millionaire. And then, like, what are we telling our children?
Mm-hmm.
And how are we putting them in their own little box and like telling them like they can't achieve something or it'll be really hard instead of like, hey, no, it's light work, bro.
It's light work.
It's light work. You'll be a millionaire pretty easy. You just got to go do this, this, and this. No problem.
Honestly, I think I'd probably err more on working a million hours. I mean, just because, you know, if you tell them it's too easy, sometimes people take easy for like, you don't have to do anything. Whereas like, it's easier to tell someone that they're working too hard, because then you could show them how to work more efficiently. Or, you know what I mean? It's easy, I think, at that point to mold someone to be less hands-on. Whereas if you're not hands-on enough or you're just flat out lazy, it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, I know it's supposed to be light work, but in order for it to be light work, you still got to commit this amount of time. Or, you know what I mean? It's easier to slow someone down than it is to try to speed someone up.
Yes. And so I'm talking about like the way your family culture that you're raising your children in, right?
Yeah.
Like one thing that we always tell is, you know, like you'll outwork everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of what we do. Like my best friend BJ, he's like, I'm a Newman. His dad is I think he's the best business person I've ever met besides Mark and Josh. And he is just a fucking grinder, up at 3 a.m., gets home, goes to sleep for a couple hours, and then he is back at it working again. VORNG, whoever that is. But oh man, that dude threw me off. But with that, right? So BJ is like, no, like, and he was ingrained in him that that I'm a Newman.
Yeah.
What do Newmans do? Newmans work fucking hard. Even same with my parents. Like, we work hard. If anything, you're gonna fucking work hard. But telling someone to work hard and work efficiently at the same time is the best way of teaching them to figure things out. But then, oh wow, whatever. Shit, the million hours thing though. These fucking random ass YouTube comments from people in Russia threw me off. That is the way. I just think it's if you're telling you, in a nutshell, we need to be very cognizant of what we are telling our children. Because if you think about that and then you put that limiting belief on their head, they're like, oh, I can't be a millionaire if I work a million hours, and they just give up on it altogether.
Sounds overwhelming.
That could sound really overwhelming.
That's true. And they never really start.
And I mean, and yes, if it takes me a million hours to become a billionaire, cool, and I'm prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, just the way of that, and like not being able to use leverage and like all these other things that have now been shown to me of like how I can become a millionaire pretty easily.
Instead of like, even like you said, so I guess it is kind of a shitty type of quote to give in a sense, because I know now we're more of a like, I don't know if anyone's seen, is it King Richard? It's a story with Will Smith, and it's pretty much like a documentary on Venus and Serena Williams.
Uh-huh.
And so Will Smith plays the dad, Richard. And one of the things that I thought really jumped out at me is I believe they had like 5 daughters. And it's kind of like on some on Ball. What's it, LeVar Ball?
Yeah,
it's kind of like on some of that shit in the sense of just like he had Venus and Serena in a sense to be tennis players. Like that was his vision. That's what he had seen, and that's why they came about in the sense of just even birth.
Yeah,
and he was very intentional on what he put into them in all his girls. And one thing that really jumped out to me was there was a segment in the show, in the movie, where they were going to bed, and before he cut the lights off, like they said affirmations. It was like 5 or 6 affirmations that they said. And I thought it was extremely powerful because as we move in our businesses and we start to grow and stuff like that, that's one thing we really start to learn is about like your health and your mental stability and affirmations and, possessing things before you actually possess them. And so when I watched that movie, there's no secret to why they, Venus and Serena became what they became, and again, this is just, if type shit, because if you understand how to grow a business mentally and kind of where you need to be, and then you go watch a movie and this is a part in the movie that they're doing affirmations and shit as soon as they get ready to go to bed, when they wake up and all these things, and you're like, damn, like there's a direct correlation to what I'm learning here, what I just seen in this movie, and what the product was of that.
100%.
And so I thought that was extremely powerful. And that's one thing that I've picked up from that, was just like, well, shoot, what are some affirmations that I want to do with my kids? And so in reading in the morning, I wrote down some things that I thought was powerful, in a sense of just not necessarily you got to work 1,000,000 hours, but things that I felt like were powerful in a sense of just like, like I love, what I mean? Because it all comes down to like, you got to love one another. At the end of the day, it doesn't, there's a lot of hate. So, you're going to be someone who loves, you're going to be a leader, what I mean? Capable of doing anything.
Yep.
So just little things like that. It may not be, you got to work 1,000,000 hours to be successful.
But that's an affirmation that you're telling your child consistently over time.
Consistently over time. Exactly. And so when you say I love and I'm confident, I'm a leader, like those things, as you get older and you run into some certain issues, just by remembering those things, it will help you through a lot of stuff, whether it be in business or it be in life or being a parent, being a spouse, things like that.
Right. And this isn't to say affirmations are going to solve all of your mental woes.
No.
Right. But with the affirmations, I think it's a lot more, you're able to change a child's mindset to where now when you're an adult, affirmations don't just work. Like you just don't wake up and like say some shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of other things that go in, but if you can frame that kid's mind of, I am the greatest ever. Why are you the greatest ever? Well, because I outwork everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And you can do all of those things and they just grow up thinking that way. Because what is it? Alan sent me a quote the other day. It's like, a man is only whatever preoccupies his mind and nothing else. Right. And I was like, yeah, that's powerful. Like whatever you're consistently thinking about is what you become.
100%.
So